It's surprising that the media conglomerate only just released their first ever holiday movie starring a gay protagonist at its center. But even so, it has managed to capture the hearts of its viewers immediately upon release, with many deeming it to be a step in the right direction. Here's how Netflix's new gay rom-com Single All the Way is changing Christmas movie history. Stick around to see everything else fans can expect from the content dropping these holidays. First, the holiday rom-com industry. With its big debut, Single All the Way has managed to avoid all overused tropes from traditional LGBT-focused media, with simultaneously adopting all the feel-good cliches of holiday movies. This results in a flick that induces the spirit of winter wonderland in every viewer watching. Holiday movies, a whole genre by itself, are movies that focus on, and to some extent actively exploit the Christmas season for views. And in return, the viewer gets to suspend their disbelief and settle into a universe where happy endings are always rewarded to their favorite characters. Interestingly enough, there are many subgenres that fall under the holiday movie genre, but today we'll be focusing on the rom-com subgenre specifically. Movies like Love Actually and The Holiday have set the standard for romance movies set around the same time as Christmas. But in recent years, it's obvious that the subgenre has taken a moderate beating, with plot lines rarely making sense and invoking more questions in the viewers than delivering a heartfelt story that celebrates the spirit of the holidays. Next, Single All the Way, the rom-com. This is why the fact that Single All the Way manages to set expectations for the viewers that end up being satisfyingly fulfilled is a welcome surprise. The movie centers its plot around two gay best friends, Peter and Nick, as they realize that some stereotypes may just apply to them after all, with the help of an overly involved family around Christmas time in a small town, of course. The movie in its own right is not a masterpiece, and it needs to be acknowledged that a piece of content doesn't need to be an objective masterpiece to be enjoyable. As viewers watch the slow burn romance unfold between the pair of roommates and best friends, they are awarded the liberty to second-handedly explore romance in a setting where heteronormative customs that often plague queer relationships in media are temporarily suspended. The movie leaves no romantic stone unturned, as it employs all classic tropes associated with rom-coms. If one had to list all the tropes that Single All the Way employs, they would actually come out to roommates and best friends who pine for each other and even decide upon fake dating each other. There's some classic one-sided yearning. In fact, the main characters even share a single bed at a point in the movie. If you're even mildly into rom-coms, this is a holiday movie you will not want to miss. Changing the game? But why is Single All the Way being deemed a movie that might change Christmas movie history forever? After all, it is certainly not the first holiday movie that centers around characters who identify on the LGBTQ+ spectrum, and definitely not the first queer-centric rom-com. Hulu's Happiest Season and Hallmark's The Christmas House both premiered last year and featured queer characters in holiday settings and ended as any Christmas movies might. Why aren't those movies deemed as holiday rom-coms that are changing the game? Well, to understand that, we may need to go deep down a rabbit hole known as the Hays Code. More on that later, but to simplify it now, there is a common pattern often present in movies centered around queer characters that any mildly observant viewer can spot. It's the dreaded coming out scene that plagues so many queer main characters depicted on media. And while movies centered around the daunting prospect are incredibly representative of queer youth who may identify with these characters, we cannot disregard the fact that the oversaturation of this type of media has led to a lack of originality and has put more cultural pressure to come out than ever before. As if coming out is something queer people owe to an incredibly heteronormative and often homophobic society to be deemed as free individuals in their own right. Single All the Way does not claim to be revolutionary. It's important to note that Single All the Way does not claim to be revolutionary. No, in fact, the movie itself doesn't really treat the queer characters with kid gloves at all, or overtly damaging stereotypes. The movie is often self-aware in its jokes, like Jennifer Coolidge, a widely lauded gay icon, makes a joke in the movie about gays loving her. What has people genuinely enjoying this movie has more to do with the fact that the acting is good, which shouldn't be surprising, but with the standard Netflix has set with its holiday movies in the past, it is. It's also the fact that the movie does not set itself up to have a coming out scene at all. In fact, both of these characters are out, and that itself is not seen as a threat by anyone in the movie. Next, subversion of the usual LGBT-centric media. At the same time, the movie definitely does not play into gender roles or heterospecific character dynamics, and being gay and out is not a taboo topic. That definitely does not translate into an overtly idealistic setting, with no one ever acknowledging what it's like to be gay in a setting such as this. Peter's mom and dad are shown to have harmless preconceived ideas about homosexuality in general and are shown actively discouraged. The movie, as we mentioned, lets both Nick and Peter experience romance in a setting not plagued by a constant assertion of their lack of belonging in society via closeting or homophobic antagonists. Why do we rarely see happy queer characters in media? So while this movie is far from perfect, it needs to be lauded for being able to provide good chemistry between its main characters and a genuinely heartwarming, if cheesy, friends to lovers arc without imposing some form of tragedy or trauma upon our main characters, as is often the case in media that involves characters who don't conform to societal norms. This brings us to a short explanation of why that is the case. From the 1930s to the late 1960s, censorship was at an all-time high in Hollywood. Thus, an unofficial but self-imposed set of guidelines was followed in all motion pictures releases. Next, the Hays Code. This code prohibited many aspects of visual media and genuine storytelling, like profanity, suggestive nudity, graphic or realistic violence, sexual persuasions, etc., and was the industry standard. But it is now believed to have caused a significant amount of harm to the industry moving forward, since it solidified certain harmful tropes in media that many still believe to be essential when it comes to telling a good story. You don't need us to tell you of the homophobia seeped into the US in the 90s. So let us tell you that one of the guidelines in the Hays Code prohibited LGBTQ+ characters from having satisfying or happy endings. Since homosexuality was widely perceived to be a sin, the unhappiness of these characters, or in extreme cases, death at the end of the story, would serve as a lesson and moral retribution for their sins. This is also why you will find a disturbing amount of movies featuring characters that identify on the LGBT spectrum to end in tragedy. And for a while, the Hays Code helped people sympathize with the struggles of the community. In fact, that continued long after the Hays Code was discarded. But as the Hays Code moved into irrelevancy, the general suffering faced by characters that identified as LGBTQ+ did not. Next up, Christmas movies. This is why Single All the Way, although not perfect in its execution, has its place in the ranking as an influential holiday movie. And if you're looking for more movies to keep a lookout for this holiday season as you cozy up under the blanket, here are two that we recommend. Love Hard. Love Hard was set to be an interesting release even before it dropped on the 5th of November this year, as it took the trials of modern dating and catfish situations to a whole other level. In this holiday movie, Natalie, an LA-based writer who's never lucked out in love, impulsively flies to the East Coast to meet an online date, only to find out she's been catfished. Not to spoil too much, but this movie also employs the fake dating trope. Home Sweet Home Alone. If you're not the type for holiday rom-coms, can we interest you in mild nostalgia at least? This movie, based on the classic and beloved Home Alone series, features the same antics and kid pranks that you fell in love with all that time ago. Max, who is the protagonist in this movie, is left to survive in this comedic tale filled with booby traps that might just catch your heart. And that's all for this video. What did you think of Single All the Way? Let us know in the comments below. While you're at it, also let us know your favorite holiday movie to watch this time of the year. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and be sure to share this video with your friends and family. Ring the notification bell to get notified every time we upload a video. Thanks for watching.